And a very pleasant good evening, and welcome to another episode of the QCast. This is season 3, episode 6, and this is a really special episode of the QCast. I'm joined today by Bob and Karen Hardy, parents of Justin Hardy, and this is a unique episode. Bob and Karen, I know that it's been a very tough time. And I guess I'll just start off by asking, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, I would say with the support of our friends and our family and, the St. Charles community and WashU community, obviously, we're managing fairly well. We're navigating these uncharted waters. But we're hanging in there. It's been a tough 5 months, obviously, but we're coming together, and Karen's in the midst of starting the Hardy Strong Foundation. So, we're making our way.
And Karen, this is the first time in the QCast that everyone has had the same outfit on. So
We chose well.
Yeah.
we didn't talk to each other about this. We
This
just
was
showed
not
up
planned.
this way, right?
No. Yeah, obviously we have a lot of Hardy Strong apparel at our house, and so it's not shocking when two of us come downstairs in the morning and we have the same shirt on or a sweatshirt. So we're twinning quite often in our house, but we love to see it on you as well.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the gesture from your family. The Putterhead cover that you sent to me. Today was the first time I've golfed since that arrived. And as Sean Wallace said, that Justin clearly got the last laugh, because every time I golf now, I have a WashU logo on my bag with me. And I'm very proud to have that. And it's a very special memento. So I appreciate that on behalf of your family. That was very kind of you. Just let me say this to you guys, is I didn't know Justin, but a small period of his life. The first time I ever met him was on this podcast,
Right.
and that was December 10th of 2021. And the way that all transpired was really unique, and I think it said a lot about him. As I had interviewed Coach Yuckham the week before, and I had become aware of Justin's situation with stomach cancer, and I didn't want to ask Pat that. I just said, "Hey, there's something going on with one of your players. Do you want to talk about it?" And he was very understandably uncomfortable, because it wasn't his question to answer.
Right.
And he left it out there. And the next day I got an email from Justin, and it basically said, "Hey, Bob, we don't know each other, but I saw the interview, and if you would like to talk about my story, I'd like to talk about my story." And the thing that I remember the most about it is we spent a couple days talking on the telephone, trying to prepare, because there were so many things that I needed to ask the right way. There were so many details and steps and dates and things that I didn't understand. And we talked about all this stuff. And I remember at some point we were talking, and I said, and this was a very naive question of me. I said, "Well, Justin, we've talked about all this. We haven't talked about the prognosis." And I didn't understand. Always remember what he said to me. He said, "Well, I want to stay away from that." And I said, "Well, absolutely. Let me understand that." And he said, "I would prefer that people understand how I'm living and not how I'm dying." And that really stayed with me, and it will always will stay with me. As you watched how public this became, the ESPN feature, how was it for you guys just watching this thing blow up, and for all this support, and for everyone that became part of this? As his mom and dad, how was that for you guys?
I would say for me, it was gratifying to a certain extent. Justin has been Justin. He's always been built a little bit different. So seeing the impact that he had going through this wasn't necessarily surprising to us, because that's the way he's been since he's been young. But I will say that, Justin was very measured on the decision to make this public. I think he was a little fearful of the impact that it would have on us, but, I think he also was, he wanted to be able to assist and help at least one other person in their struggle, whatever that may be. And so he made the decision to make it public. So, we respect that. And, for us, it was gratifying to see the exposure that he had, that the impact that he was making.
Yeah, and he talked to us about your interview with him, Bob, and made sure that we were comfortable with that. He talked to us about that and said, this is going to change everything, and we are generally, Bob and I are typically private by nature people, I would define us that way. And so we thought, okay, yeah, it's going to be out there, and what is that going to look and feel like? And we weren't really sure, of course. But I think it was really cathartic for Justin to share his story and, not keep it a secret, and not, it wasn't taboo to talk about anymore. And I think that was when he could really start living his life and feeling really comfortable with it just being out there. So I think it was a very positive thing for him to do.
What I remember more than anything is after that, I think we spent an hour together, and I remember clicking off of that, and that was pretty like heavy. To what blew me away was, here's this young man talking about a stage 4 stomach cancer diagnosis and all of this hell that he's going through.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch that, the smile on his face is nonstop for 60 minutes. It is was that, I mean, I assume that's who Justin was.
Yeah. Yeah.
To a T.
Infectious character. I mean, just always a fun one to be around, and always found joy in things.
Yeah. I would say people gravitated to him as a result. He just had that impact on people.
When the basketball season started, and it's pretty amazing that he even got to that point where he was practicing, let alone playing. And when the season started and he was playing, not only like getting in the game, but he was like the best player on the floor. I remember watching the stream of the Dubuque game. That must have been early. I think that was at the Rhodes tournament. Right, like hit a monster game. And then a week after, I guess it was a week or after I talked to him, was the Illinois Wesleyan WashU game in St. Louis. And I mean, he was a first team All-American. I mean, the dunk down the middle of the lane. I mean, he was the best player on the floor. What was that like, knowing what you knew about what the previous 4 or 5 months had been like, and then to see him playing in these games, just like he always did? What was that like for you guys, that period of time?
I would say, well, I mean, for him, it was his therapy, right? I mean, to be on the court, that was his refuge, right? And I mean, I was amazed and astounded to see what he was doing. I mean, there were many nights where we talked to him, the night before, and he's like, "Hey, I don't feel good. I don't know what's going to happen." And I'd be in the stands, and there he comes running out of the locker room, and he didn't look real comfortable running out, right?
Right.
But somehow he would pull it together game time, and that was just the competitor that he was.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun watching him live out those dreams that he recreated for himself that last season. And every time he was on the court, we really embraced it. It was special. And we knew he was at his happiest.
I'm curious how you guys are, like, how you've made peace with things, if you have. And my frame of reference on this is my wife's brother. Brian died of a brain tumor. And that was a very long process because from the point he was diagnosed to the point he passed away was 11 years.
Oh,
Mhm.
And we had a lot of time with Brian, and I was very close with him, and my wife was extremely close. And, you know, it's a very, very personal thing. And we're about 5 months plus from Justin passing away. And does it make any more sense to you now that, a 21-year-old kid was diagnosed or contracted stomach cancer? Have you found peace with this, or like, how are you guys doing in this grieving process?
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I'm probably still in denial to a certain extent. I think I have found peace and solace in the memories that people have shared with us.
mm,
And I think that has helped immensely. But as a parent, I don't think you're ever going to fully recover from a loss of a child. Um, you know, but our focus going forward has to be on making sure his legacy is everlasting. And the grieving process, we'll get through that. I don't know how long it's going to take. Probably quite a while, at least for me. Probably for everybody. But I would say we're at the onset of that. At least I am.
yeah, I don't think there's a timeline on grieving personally. I think, I will have a lifetime of grieving over the loss of Justin and the the change it made on our family unit, not just losing a child, but our other children losing a sibling. And so I don't think that the timeline just changes and evolves over time, but I think you're always going to have a grieving process going on. But I do think that, we did have the gift of time with Justin
Yeah.
to talk about a lot of really tough topics, and maybe in a similar situation that you had with your wife's brother. And so I do feel like we did get some peace because we knew what some of Justin's wishes were. And now it's up to us to carry
Yeah.
those out. And there is a certain amount of peace in that for me personally. Um, just
And,
knowing that we're marching forward with what Justin's wishes were.
and to that point, the reason we kind of pick this timing is that we're on the eve of another basketball season. Whether it's, we talk about high school basketball seasons right around the corner. This coming week, the Division 3 season starts.
Yeah.
WashU season will start, and everyone's season will start. And it seems important to remember what Justin wanted us to remember. I can look at the way he went about his fights and the way he conducted himself, and I can make my own guesses on what he wanted us to remember, which is probably what's important to all of us individually. But um, I'm curious how you guys would articulate that, because I think as we go into this time of year, what a great time of year for people to celebrate Justin, and for everyone that takes the floor this year to carry that with them. What was it in all of this that he made so public and that he shared? What did he want all of us to take away from his story and his life?
Well, I think, and Justin had tons of passions. He really did. He really had a lot of love for a lot of different things, but basketball was obviously a big love and a big passion, and it also was the thing that really got him through the toughest time of his life. Um, and so I think Justin would want the community of basketball that he so loved, and the players, the families, and everybody else to know that when times are tough and you're given a terrible prognosis or a very grim picture of your future to really redefine what's important to you, set some new goals and dreams, pursue those under whatever your circumstances are, and continue to live like you can meet all of those dreams and goals. I think that's personally what he would want everybody to take away, and just live life to its fullest. And like he said, go out there and write your story, whatever that is. If you want to be the best D3 player out there, go do that. If you have another passion that you love, go do that. No matter what people are telling you, you've got stage 4 cancer and you have a life expectancy that doesn't look pretty. Go out there and still live your dreams and pursue life like you would, not with a death sentence.
And I would say that, Jackie and Justin sat down and kind of went through his, what is his legacy, right? And so Jackie did a eulogy at the legacy celebration and kind of went through, Justin wanted 32 legacies because that was his original number. But they settled on 12, right? But I think a few resonated with me specifically, and those were, do the things you love with passion, right? Believe in yourself. And Justin was very confident. Let's just put it that way. But he hyped himself up, right? I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. And he played like it too at times. So, but also with that, stay humble, right? I mean, believe in yourself, be confident, but also stay humble. Be authentic and be vulnerable. And I think he showed us that going through this battle. And like Karen said, live rather than existing. And he did that, obviously, really exemplified that last year. And then live with intention as well. There's a great quote I read, and I'll share it with you now. I'm looking down to read it, but it says, as humans, we have the power and ability to shape our reality however we would like. The mindset and intention we bring into each day are what allows us to do the unimaginable. Through focus and mindfulness, there is no limit to what we can accomplish. And I think that epitomizes Justin.
I think, from my brief time knowing Justin, he was very kind. I think, Bob, I've shared with you that, and I remember when I got it, I was having dinner with my wife and I got a text, and this was March 31st. I just had a hole in one. I had my first golf hole in one after golfing for 30 some years. And I had tweeted out a video of that. And and that night I was eating dinner with my wife, and Justin texts me, and the frame of reference for me is like everything that he had going on. And he sent me a note saying something like, "Hey, your hole in one has really been the talk of the town in St. Louis." And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell in St. Louis knows about my hole in one, really? But and then the last text I got from was in April, and he was talking about, he was going to get a selfie for me with Coach K. And I thought that I just remember talking to my wife Rosemary about like every time I would get these notes and we would talk back and forth, and it's like, everything that he has going on, for him to take time to send a note to this guy that he was on a podcast with saying all these nice things. I think being kind to people is kind of like Justin 101 as well, from my interaction with him. And I appreciate you guys. Is that, fair to say, like, he was just a really kind human being.
Yeah. He's a very thoughtful young man, and showed us so much of that. He was always a very open and willing to share himself with everyone, but we really saw that in its fullest his last, year of his life. And he was a kind, thoughtful
Yeah.
person. And we love hearing those stories because I think that he'd be proud that you were saying he was a kind person.
Yeah. And as Joachim says, he was others focused, right? I mean,
Yes.
Mhm.
he definitely shared with other people, and that was very, very important to him.
Mhm.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to share all of these thoughts. I know that things are still very difficult, and Karen, as you said, I mean, grieving has no timeline. That this is going to be something that you guys are always working through,
Mhm.
and I think the lessons that you've shared with us will give everyone something to think very deeply about. Is there anything that we didn't get to regarding Justin, regarding his story, regarding anything that you want the people that will be tuning in here to leave with today?
Is there anything? I think I shared, the essence of Justin, what he epitomized.
Yeah.
And I think each individual is going to take away something different.
Mhm.
But I think it's important for us to convey what we felt,
Mhm.
and what was important to us as well. So
Yeah.
looking forward to the new basketball season coming. It's a little bit bittersweet for us, right?
Mhm.
There's going to be some challenges ahead, I would say, for us with the basketball season, the holidays coming. But like Justin would say, hey, you got 4 days to grieve and let's go, right? So we're on that march.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have lots of wonderful things to look forward to. And, we just really hope that people keep sharing their stories about Justin, with Justin, talking about Justin. That's what we, you know, really appreciate with everybody. And I think it really has brought a community together, and not just a Wash U St. Louis community or a St. Charles community, the community of people that
Right.
Justin touched. It's kind of remarkable, honestly. And I feel like as we keep talking about him, it's going to continue to bring our communities of people together.
Yeah, the impact that he had last year, I've never seen anything like it. Something that brought people together like that. My focus, I guess, is Division III basketball, but it went way beyond that. I
Yeah.
just he really had an enormous impact in a wonderful way. There was a quote of his during the ESPN piece, which was a pretty amazing piece. If people haven't seen it, go to YouTube and you'll find it real quickly. But he said, "This is beating it. This is me living my life regardless of the circumstances." And I think we'd all agree that he beat it. He
Yeah,
found he,
absolutely.
he found his way to beat it, and
Yeah.
he did, right? And
Yeah.
um, on behalf of everyone, there's a lot of people out there sending you guys love and thoughts that probably you're not even familiar with, people you've never met, right? So
We feel it.
Yeah, we definitely do.
We
I'm,
do.
I'm glad that you do, and I hope that we can meet in person sometime. I told you that my sister and her family and my mom are in Batavia. We know that WashU is playing at the Shirk Center this year, which is 2 hours down the road. Maybe you
That's a
can get down
guarantee.
there.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee.
That's a guarantee. Well, I'll tell you what, if it's a guarantee, I will see you at the Shirk Center and look forward
We'll be
to
at that one. Yeah.
meeting you guys in person. Um, Bob and Karen, thanks so much for taking the time to share this about Justin. You have all of our love, and I really appreciate this. Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
talking with us and keeping Justin's memory alive, and we appreciate it.
We will all continue to do that. Thank you, Bob and Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.